sit on up, to tuck their toes under, because since even if you give your class options to keep their hands at their heart or hands on their hips, most students are going to go for what they see is the representation of the pose, which is hands onto the heels. So if they tuck their toes under, it elevates their heels a bit. Now go ahead and go back into camel with your pelvis forward, external rotation. So we've talked about this already in quite a few of our demos and our tutorials. When the legs or femurs externally rotate and the pubic bone juts forward, it squeezes or over squeezes the glutes, creating pain in the sacrum. Now, another one that happens with camel is people throw their heads back because they think this is what the pose should look like. This looks really painful. Come on out of it. So that's not what you want. And you can actually, look at this video. You can go back to what you just saw so that you can study what's going on in the body and really begin to see when it's wrong and when it's right. Because as a teacher, that's what we look for. We look for misalignments. Okay, so typically I have a block or two here, but we're just talking about alignment. So set your students up for success. Adduction of the inner thighs, hugging the inner thighs together, is really important. It keeps the femurs in a neutral position, as well as the pelvis. Now, also instructing your students to know that the hips can move forward or back as long as there's no external rotation, but the pinnacle of the pose should be opening the heart. You want to see more of a curve than a straight sort of box angled shape. So what I like to do is take their thumbs to their armpits like suspenders and say, lift the chest. It's quite interesting and it's really helpful, but if you really lift the chest like you're wearing suspenders, you'll find that there's a lot more curvature in the upper back. Then from here, lifting the heart, hands by your side, you're going to have them inhale, lift, push down through the knees, inhale, lift, push down through the knees, and see if they can reach back to their heels simultaneously. It's almost there. Good. And what that does when you reach back simultaneously is it keeps the core engaged. Notice she's in a bit of internal rotation with the arms behind her. I want you to internally rotate the arms as you open across the collarbones. Inhale, lift up a little bit higher with the chest, and maybe you can gaze up and release. Come on out of it. Great job. The smile on her face is like, oh, this is so hard. But again, the benefit of the pose is the most important. And what camel is teaching you is to have a strong foundation, is to really begin to open across the fronts of your legs and hip flexors, but most importantly, find the back bend in the upper body. Another thing that you can do is go ahead and come on up. Once again, tucking the toes under, firming the inner thighs towards one another, firming the outer hips in as well, drawing the ribs and the navel in. You can take the hands to the heart. Instructing your students to really begin to push their chest up into the hands. Keep pushing up and over, thinking about going back in the upper body over a wheelbarrow, or not a wheelbarrow because that's not round, but a tire. Keep going up, up, up. Keep the navel in, the ribs in. Keep adduction between the thighs. Going up a little bit higher, then both hands back simultaneously to the heels. Good. Now from there, you can begin, as you push down through the heels, to lift up through the chest. And only start to look up if the shoulders are open enough to invite the gaze to go up. Go ahead and release. All right, Camel Ustrasana, really beautiful posture. But again, one of those postures where depth, visual depth, might not be the most important